106 Live Radio. Atlanta's music leader.
Welcome and thank you for joining us here at the Rodney Appleby Experience, where together we can explore the mysteries of music. Without your presence, this will be impossible. I appreciate you tuning in to be part of our program.
Welcome to the Rodney Appleby Experience, broadcasting live every Tuesday night, 7 to 8 p.m. with the one, the only Rodney Appleby. And now, Mr. Rodney Appleby.
Welcome and thank everybody for tuning in this week. So glad you're here. And the Rodney Appleby Experience here at 106 Live Radio, where excitement meets diversity 24/7. So glad you guys tuned in. It's going to be fun tonight because I have a very strange and different concept to share with you tonight. Tonight, what I want to do is take a look at what I call musical geometry. And I'd love to hear from you guys, all you mathematical thinkers out there who are tuned in tonight. And I look forward to your input and your valuable insight. Musical geometry is a concept that I use to help uncover patterns and create simplicity in what otherwise would be complex musical ideas. And it involves using geometric shapes with the circle of fifths as the base of it, and other shapes. And I'll get to that a little bit later, show you exactly what I'm talking about. I have a couple of visuals to show you. And what it's going to do, it's going to be a tool that I use in order to kind of decipher complex musical ideas. So grab your favorite instrument as always, and feel free to follow along as we do this. In previous episodes, when we scratched the surface of some of those musical concepts using numbers in music, with demonstrating how those numbers get flipped around and changed around, and how we study music. Now, in the spirit of studying music, I just want to say slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So tonight, that's going to kind of be the theme of this musical geometric path that we're about to take, this dive in that we're about to embark upon. And so I'd like to expand on some of those previous ideas, numbers and things, and make some helpful observations and even some discoveries. Each week, what I aim to do is bring some unusual and helpful information that can open up the possibilities, solve mysteries, and pave the way to greater understanding. And with your continued support, participation, and feedback, we can certainly make that happen. Sometimes the things that may seem insignificant may turn out to be the real spark, that big deal that opens things up and makes it a lot clearer. So feel free to call in 404-464-8785 and share your thoughts, ask your questions, and give your input. We're going to push beyond fear. We're going to push beyond confusion, and we're going to actually have some fun making music make sense. So you guys are in for a treat tonight, because I'm gonna take one of jazz's most complex tunes, and I'm gonna kind of break it down using musical geometry, and we're gonna see what happens, and we're gonna slow things down so that they're very clear and easy to understand. And we're also gonna take a little time and understand how a lot of this and why this actually works. And as we go through it, what I would like you guys to do is feel free to just call in and give me your impressions, your thoughts, your questions, or your epiphanies, your aha moments. So I've been asked a lot of questions about this. So tonight, I'm just going to share it with everybody. It's one of those things that I use for myself, and I'll get a chance to show you how it works for me, and hopefully it'll work for you too. So, musical geometry. I know it sounds kind of spooky and scary, but it's simply the shapes, circles, squares, triangles, and those different shapes and how I use them in order, how I actually turn them into a tool to navigate through music and have different kinds of things. So you guys, you get ready and let's take this ride tonight through this musical geometry. So I'm looking forward to your calls, and I'm hoping that you guys are on your instruments and will follow along with what we're doing. So I'll see you back in a few seconds.
106liveradio.com. Call us now at 404-464-8785.
Greetings. This is Rodney Appleby, host of the Rodney Appleby Experience. To bring you quality programming, interesting guests, and entertaining performances, your support is very important. Donations, large and small, are always welcome. Sponsors are an important part of our ability to provide you the kind of experience you deserve. Please go to 106liveradio.com/Rodney. There, you'll find a link to support the Rodney Appleby Experience. While tuned in on YouTube, please hit the like button and subscribe for alerts and updates. And you can download the 106 Live Radio app to receive notices of upcoming podcasts. And once again, thank you for your support.
Download the 106 Live Radio app from your Google Play Store. Or find us on the TuneIn app.
From the mind of Rodney Appleby.
Through demonstrations and concepts, you're invited inside my mind to experience rhythms and grooves that I believe will soothe your soul. Call us on air here at 404-464-8785.
From the mind of Rodney Appleby. Broadcasting live from Atlanta every Tuesday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Meet us right here on 106 R&B and Throwbacks, powered by 106liveradio.com. And now, here is your host, Mr. Rodney Appleby.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Now, each week, I actually like to remind you guys about those 4 stages of learning because they're very important. I believe that knowing that and being reminded of that and kind of internalizing that really makes learning a lot more fun, and it's easy to track and understand where you are in the learning process. So let me just go over a little bit about that with you. So, as I've always said, when we're in the introduction stage, learning a new bit of information, it's automatically going to be confusing if you've never had any experience with that information before. So confusion when being introduced, that just lets you know it's brand new information and it's time to pay attention. Then we move to the second stage of learning of knowledge development or basic study of that new information. And that particular stage of learning is always accompanied by some level of, and I use the word fear, but that's very strong. It's just being hesitant to make sure, am I getting it right? Do I really understand that? Can you say that to me again? Can you making sure that you have it? And then we move to the third stage of learning, skill development, which is basically practice. Now, practice can be very frustrating. So what I'd like to recommend, especially tonight, given the material that I'm going to be covering with you, is slow. Slow practice means learning it clean and smooth. And the cleaner and the smoother you learn it, then the faster and more carefree you can become with it. So when you lay the foundation nice and slow in your learning, then it's going to become kind of second nature to you, and you'll be able to take off with it. And I'll kind of give you an example of that in a minute. Then we get to demonstration or practical application. Once you've learned new information, studied it, and you've practiced it, then you get to the point where you can show what you do. That's usually where the excitement, the relief, and the confidence comes from. And so by recognizing this pattern, it can really help reduce anxiety and make the actual learning process a lot less stressful. So I just like to remind you guys of that from time to time. So tonight, I want to take some basics in music for the purpose of examining some possibilities and discuss how those and why those possibilities can actually be helpful. So I'm going to take a look. I'm going to take a look at this little tool that I have in my hand, and I'm going to call up a graphic on screen. This little tool that I have in my hand, something that I made from cardboard and paper. It was a lot of fun making it too, because trying to get just the right size triangle, just the right size circles and everything, it was just a lot of fun to do. Now, if you see that graphic is a series of geometric shapes. The overarching shape is a circle. It's all contained within the circle. Now, if you notice the points, there's 12 of them. And I bet you can't even guess what those 12 points represent. They represent the 12 keys. And so with the 12 keys, if you notice the red triangle, that one is called an equilateral triangle. And the equilateral triangle points out one set of information. And then we have the acute triangle, which gives us another bit of information. So I'm going to show you how this thing works and why it's been very helpful to me. And the tune that I'm going to use as my kind of demonstration tonight is a jazz tune that is considered to be a very challenging tune. It's been played by many greats. It was written by John Coltrane, and it actually is one of the tunes that is used in collegiate study in order to help people understand and get a sense of their ability. John Coltrane was actually one of the jazz artists that ushered in what's known as linear modal bebop. That term simply means it's not written like most other tunes. It doesn't have like an intro, and it doesn't have like an A section or a bridge or, a chorus. It simply is a loop of changes that go over and over again, specifically for the purposes of improvisation. And so I'm going to kind of use that tonight as my backdrop. So when I'm talking about using this tool, this circle, and these geometric shapes, the first thing that I want to point out is the triangles actually move around the circle. They can actually move. And so you can actually line them up different ways and get different information on these various on the circle. Now, always at 12 o'clock, we have the key of C. That's always 12 o'clock. So Starting right there at 12 o'clock, we have the key of C. Now, today, I often use the key of C as my kind of go-to key simply because it's the simplest. And if you play keyboards, it's all white keys and everything like that. But tonight, I'm going to use 3 separate keys. And I'm going to use those 3 separate keys because they represent the changes that are used in giant steps. So the first one that I want to get to, I'm going to turn my circle all the way over here down to, oops. Let me see here. Let me get this tighter. All right. I'm going to get this point over here to B, the key of B. Now, if you notice, my triangle keeps moving on me. It's like a clock, like a second hand and a minute hand. But if you notice, both of the points are together. And because they're 2 different sized triangles, they basically only line up at that one point, because as you can see, the other points are pointing in different places. And that's very important. That's part of the information that we're going to be using. So right off the bat, we can see that the circle of fifths, can be used as an actual proactive, interactive tool. The graphic that's up, there's another graphic that I have with the circle of fifths, the one with the green square. Now, that's an entirely different geometric approach. What that represents is the relative minors to one another. So when you're looking at the corners of the square, for example, C, always 12 o'clock. When we go to the corner at 3 o'clock, that corner represents what would be considered the relative minor of C. So C to A, that's a relative minor. Now watch this. From A to F sharp, that's another relative minor. Now, because F sharp and G flat are the same key, G flat up to E flat represents another relative minor relationship. Now check this out. The E flat back up to the C. C is the relative minor to the E flat. So right there, that graphic shows you that there is correlation and a kind of an organized representation of the 12-tone music system. And geometry, its shapes, can be used to help recognize and identify, track, and even plot the course through a lot of those kinds of things. So now, what I also want to do is I want to come back over here to the circle with this triangle pointing at B. Now, while that triangle is pointing at B, the other points of the triangle are pointing somewhere else. If we look over here, we can see that this corner is pointing to G. That's very important because that's the second place giant steps goes to, meaning it actually changes key. It changes key, starts off in B, and then it changes key to G. Now, if we look over here at this point, it's telling us E flat. So that's another key that is found in giant steps. So when you look at those 3 points of the triangle, it's telling you the actual 3 separate keys that Giant Steps is written in. So it's written in the key of B, it's written in the key of G, and it's written in the key of E flat. That is one of the qualities or characteristics of jazz that is uncommon to a lot of pop music, let's say, because pop music tends to stay in one key. It may have a lot of changes, but it tends to stay in one key. Jazz tends to change key quite a bit. And as it's changing key, singing through it, improvising through it can become tricky because the ear may not be used to hearing it quite moving that way. Now, if we look at this slender or this acute triangle, this big, the wide triangle is the equilateral triangle. All sides are the same length, equal. This acute triangle is pointing to some different notes. Now, I have both points here pointing to B. But then, if we go over here, it's pointing to C. And then we come over here and it's pointing to B flat. Now, listen at that. B, well, let's start here. B flat, then B, and then C. Those are 3 chromatic notes. Chromatic, meaning right next to one another. Nothing in between, just B flat, and then right next to it is B, and then right next to that is C. So that's another interesting aspect of what we're going to be looking at tonight. And so we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to kind of go through some of what I'm talking about on my instrument and kind of show you how it works, okay? So you guys, please don't go away, and be prepared to call in and ask whatever questions you have. Hope to hear from you.
.com, where excitement meets diversity 24/7. Today's R&B and throwbacks.
Broadcasting live from Atlanta while serving the entire globe. It's the fastest growing radio on the web. It's 106liveradio.com.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight, both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back, because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Join us on the Tanasha Gray Show for Woman Empowerment with Dr. Trisella Hickland. Tune in on Fridays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's a special broadcast happening on April 14th, 21st, and 28th on 106liveradio.com.
Uncle Ferdy, back again, man.
Join Prophetess Sophia Ruffin and Prophetess Tish Shearer, sponsor of the Bridge Club crew, for the Prisoner of War in the Mind Conference at the Renaissance Concourse Atlanta Airport Hotel on June 2nd to June 4th. Are you ready for nights of networking, healing, and deliverance? Well, this is an event you don't want to miss. Call into the Bridge Club crew any Thursday from now to June 1st and be the 6th caller for your chance to win one of 2 free tickets to the event. The Prisoner of War in the Mind Conference. For more information and for ticket prices, visit powinthemind.eventbrite.com.
So my team's got all of my needs. He supplies everything.
Do you need a written game plan for your marriage? Here, you will be empowered to shed some of the heavy weight from the past. These practical tools can be implemented today. Start pursuing intimacy effective communication, and be the interdependent mate you were designed to be. Are you ready to be vulnerable and transparent with your spouse? You will be challenged to take your relationship into the next dimension of perpetual growth. Check out Mr. and Mrs. Epic Journal, After I Say I Do, written by Doctors Jason and Tanasha Gray.
Focus Forward with Robin Shockley, in collaboration with the Rising Star Talent Group, presents the Unity Networking Night on May 27th from 6 to 10 p.m. at the Bella Vista Venue Hall in Welford, South Carolina. Come expecting entertainment, dinner, the Swift Magazine launch, along with the Professional Maximizer Awards ceremony, and more. This is a night to connect and network with industry professionals and vendors. Talent from all over will be in attendance. For more information, contact 757-218-4951 or 864-313-4964. See you there.
Do you have a business that you'd like to promote? Or maybe you just want to sponsor the show and keep the good vibes going. If you would like to, the information is up on the screen. You can find us at www.106liveradio.com, or you can give us a call, 404-689-5483.
Help me find my way through this darkness to the light of day. So much distraction, all around. Got me standing there, shaking. No interpretation, see it your way. Do what you feel, hear what you say. So when the score is final, it was yours to choose. And so it doesn't matter, you win, draw, you lose. Or if you're big enough, you're bad enough, you're strong enough, you're fast enough, you know enough, you know too much, you're really tough. When things get rough, help me find my way through this darkness to the light of day. So much distraction all around. It's got me standing on shaky ground. Yeah.
All right. So I have my friend with me tonight. This is called this is my Warwick. Her name is Yvette. And she's been with me summer everywhere. I toured with her, I've recorded with her, I've played. She's a hardworking girl. So tonight, what I want to do is I actually want to demonstrate in real time how I use this tool. Now, before I get to playing, what I'm going to first do is I'm going to just explain to you what's going on here. So now, as I described, Giant Steps is written in 3 different keys. And those keys, it starts with B major, and then it changes and goes to G major, and then it changes again and it goes to E flat major, and then it changes again and it goes back to G major, and then it comes back to E flat, and then it goes to B again, then it goes to E flat, then it goes to G, then it goes to B, then it goes to E flat. Now that sounds like a lot, and it can be very confusing. And not only does Giant Steps tend to change key like that quite regularly, but it also does so in a fashion and in a count and in a timing that's unintuitive. Most of the time when someone writes a song and they make a change, they make the change either most times at the beginning of a new measure. So it may go 1, 2, 3, ready, change. And then it changes when it gets to 1. In giant steps, doesn't do that. John Coltrane was quite an interesting thinking person. He's one of those mathematical people. And what he did, instead of changing at an expected place, he would change in the middle of the measure. So, for example, the song, the composition opens up with him playing in the first measure, in the very first measure, and the measure has 4 beats in it. He actually plays 2 of those beats in the key of B, and then he plays the last 2 beats in the key of G. And because of changing in the middle of the measure, it can cause the ear a little clumsiness. It can seem a little out of order. It's not so much that the changes are so difficult. It's simply when he's changing that can add to the confusion and to the complexity of the actual composition and make it very difficult to hear where he's going, where he's coming from, and when he's going to go. Because in America, we're used to doing everything on the 1. We love the 1. If we can't feel the 1, we can be very lost. James Brown himself, he used to say, put it on the 1. And that meant on that downbeat, boom, boom, well, here Coltrane is doing something completely, utterly out the box. And what he's doing, he's going 1, 2, change 4, and then stay in there for a measure, and then change again. So I'm going to let you hear that in a bit. But before I do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you these 3 chord changes, these 3 keys, I should say. And first, the key of B. Okay, the key of B. Now, what I'm playing on my bass, let me see if you can see my hand here. I'm playing the root, the B, and then I'm playing the 3rd, which gives me the harmony of major or minor. The 3rds always determine whether it's major or minor. So, but I'm playing my 3rds an entire octave up. Okay, so what I have here is B, and then it's 3rd. So you can hear that harmony, that major harmony. And then Coltrane changes key, but he doesn't just go straight to G. He doesn't do that. He takes his time, and in jazz, you'll hear a lot about 2, 5, 1. And what Coltrane does, he takes his time, and instead of doing the complete 2, 5, 1 just yet, not yet, he's going to do it, but not yet. So he starts with 1, and then he goes. Now, what I'm playing here, I'm playing the 5 of G before I get to the G. I'm playing the 5 before I get to the G. So, okay, I'm playing the root again and the 3rd. So you can hear that it's major. Now, I can add the 7 to it, okay, and make it dominant instead of being major 7. So I can give it that sound. But it's the 5 Then I go to the G. Okay. Now, once I'm at the G, that's 5, 1. See those numbers at work again? Now, the changes are actually very simple because here's the numerical changes in the key of B. 1. Get to the key of G. 5, 1. Then we get to the key of E flat. We're going to do 5, 1 again. So numerically, it's quite simple. 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. So let me play that. So 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. Hear that? So I'm going to do it again. 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. Now, here's where he begins a little bit of a kind of a tricky arrangement of chord changes. Now, I mentioned 2, 5, 1 earlier. Now he's going to go back to the G, but this time he's going to do it using 2, 5, 1. 2, 5, 1. Okay, so now here's what we have. 1. Let me get my numbers straight. 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. Now, 2. Hear that? Hear that? The root and the third. And that third is an octave. And that's a minor third. If you noticed, when I'm playing major, see how close the third is. When I'm playing minor, look how far away the third is. Here, it's a half step. Here, it's a whole step. Okay? So, moving the minor down a half step, moving the third down a half step turns it into a minor. Notice how I'm using those numbers. I'm not talking about notes. Even though each number represents a note, I'm only describing them or referring to them by their numerical positions, because the numerical positions refer to any key all the time. So here I have major, dominant, major, dominant, and then major. Okay. Now I'm going to go minor, minor, dominant, major, dominant, major, dominant, and major. Now, let me give you the numbers on that instead of just the modes. I'm just going to call out the numbers as I'm playing it. 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. Then 2, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. Simple numbers. Now, watch this. Entire run here is going to be all 2, 5, 1s. 2, 5, 1. Now, again, 2, 5, 1. Again, 2, 5, 1. And again, 2, 5, 1. Now, 2, 5. And that's the end of the chord chart, not the end of the song. Because remember, I said it's linear modal. Linear modal means it goes around and around and around through the same changes over and over again. So by ending on the 2-5, remember where we started? We started on 1. That's where we started. We ended at 2-5, getting ready to go back to the 1. So I'm going to play the whole thing for you nice and slow and clean so you can hear it. I'm going to stop talking too. So here we go. Now I'm at the end, and I'm going back to the beginning again. Now this time I'm going to tell you the keys that I'm actually in, and whether I'm playing a 5-1 of that key or a 2-5-1 of that key. So I'm starting in the key of B. So it's just the 1 to start with in the key of B. And then I go 5-1 in the key of G. Then I go 5-1 in the key of E flat. Then I go 2-5-1 in the key of G. Then I go 5-1 in the key of E flat, and then 5-1 in the key of B again. Now 2-5-1 in the key of E flat. 2-5-1 in the key of G. 2-5-1 in the key of B. And then 2-5-1 in the key of E flat. And then 2-5 of the key of B, because I'm going back to 1. And it starts all over again. So now, that's what my equilateral triangle is telling me. It's telling me that giant steps is in the key of B, it's in the key of G, and it's in the key of E flat. Now, what information does my acute triangle give me? Well, the notes I told you, the notes I said was B. Let me do it this way, because I like talking about it chromatically. B flat, C, and B. B flat, B, and C. Literally those 3 notes. B flat, B flat, B, C. Just those 3 notes. Now, if I play the key of B, I'm playing those 2 notes, because each side of the triangle is only connected by 2 notes. The base of the triangle is connected by 2 notes. The other side of the triangle is connected by 2 notes. So we're only using 2 notes at a time. So in B, when I'm in the key of B, the 2 notes that I'm using is the B flat and the B. Hear it? That B flat represents the major 7 note of a B flat, of a B chord. So there's that B. Then I move. Now when I move to the key of G, I'm going to use the B and the C. The B and the C. The B and the C. Now, the B and the C, how does that relate to the key of G? If we were in the key of B, how does B and C relate to G? Well, B becomes the 3rd and C is the 4th. That is the beginning of one of the modes I discussed in one of our previous podcasts. It's the 3rd mode in the 7 modes, and it's the what's called the Phrygian mode. So when I go to the hear it? So now, even though I'm still right here at B, before I was at the B flat and B, hear that? Now, when I move to the G, now I'm playing the Phrygian mode. When I'm at the B, I'm playing the Locrian mode, which is the 7th scale in the series of 7 scales. Then when I go to the E flat, I'm playing the B flat and the C. That's 5 and 6 of E flat, or representing the Mixolydian mode. So what we have here are 3 scales that I can lock in on and kind of wrap my brain around just from seeing which notes. So I have Locrian, then I have Phrygian, then I have Mixolydian. And those notes are going to allow me to be able to freely move through giant steps. So when I come back, what I'm going to do, I'm going to call up a little track that I have. Now, remember I told you slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Giant steps is normally a very fast tune, but for tonight's demonstration, I've created a very slow kind of ballad vibe of it so that you can hear, and I can take my time and let you hear the notes. So when we come back, I'm going to call up the track and I'm simply going to play giant steps for you and let you hear me kind of ease my way through it using those simple concepts. So don't y'all go away.
Broadcasting live from Atlanta while serving the entire globe. It's the fastest growing radio on the web. It's 106liveradio.com.
Back again.
Join prophetess Sophia Ruffin and prophetess Tish Shearer, sponsor of the Bridge Club crew, for the Prisoner of War in the Mind Conference at the Renaissance Concourse Atlanta Airport Hotel on June 2nd to June 4th. Are you ready for nights of networking, healing, and deliverance? Well, this is an event you don't want to miss. Call into the Bridge Club crew any Thursday from now to June 1st and be the 6th caller for your chance to win one of 2 free tickets to the event. The Prisoner of War in the Mind Conference. For more information and for ticket prices, visit powinthemind.eventbrite.com.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad
This is
Council.
Willie from the Male Perspective on 106liveradio.com, where excitement meets diversity 24/7. The Male Perspective is a show where men talk about things that men talk about, getting to the real meat and heart of the matter from the male perspective. No holds barred. The truth on 106liveradio.com. Also tune in to YouTube to watch us live. Call in 404-464-8785 and voice your opinion and be heard live from the Male Perspective.
The Word of God is the most instrumental part of a believer's life. How do we approach life while honoring the Word? Well, we want to talk about it. Join us on Life Talk as we talk through life with the Word every first and third Sunday from 5 to 7 p.m. right here on 106 Inspiration.
Maximize your brand. Calling all hosts. Have you ever dreamed of hosting your own show? Well, 106 Live Radio platform is looking for positive, creative, self-motivated individuals and groups. Here you can host your own program. If you are serious and interested in joining our growing platform, Team 106 is happy to host you at our state-of-the-art studio. Please reach out to us at 404-622-4152 or send us an email at contactus@106liveradio.com. Bring your best self.
Okay, now what you're listening to is a very chilled, slow version of Giant Steps. It's never, ever played that way. But for tonight's demonstration, what I really wanted to do was slow it down so that you guys could actually hear the things inside going on. And so that I didn't have to rush through the notes, but just able to play simple, small phrases and let you hear how they lay very comfortably inside. Okay? So now, I'm going to start the track over again. I'm going to start it from the beginning. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the melody of Giant Steps so you can hear how the melody goes. Then I'm going to ease my way through it improvisationally. Okay? So let's go. Okay, hold on. Let me start back again from the very beginning. Let me start from the beginning. Okay, hold on. It's not. Is it starting all the way from the actual beginning? Okay, let me get it. Let me get it again. It's not the beginning. Here we go. This is it. Okay, here it is. This is the beginning. Okay, let me let it cycle through so I can get to the top of it. Here we go. All right. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. Hope to see you guys again next week. We're going to have a little special show for you next week. So don't y'all forget to tune in. Thank you for tuning in this week.
Love, oh love, there's nothing else but you. Fill our hearts and fill our minds, feel everything we do. Oh love.